Good morning, Panam! You're listening to the Eiffel Tower. This is World Radio Paris, and today we've got a very special guest, Lisa Anselmo. Hello, and welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And we've got producer James Vazina, as always. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, thanks, Shelly.
Eiffel Tower with Oliver G.
For those who... Did you call me Shelley just then?
Ollie, no, I wanted to say cheers for your really good intro there.
Okay, well, thank you. That's inspired by Robin Williams and Good Morning Vietnam, for those who weren't aware. But Lisa Anselmo, who, if you haven't heard, she's written a book just recently. Congratulations on your new book.
Thank you very much.
Also, congratulations on your work with the Lovelocks. Lisa Anselmo, you are a Lovelock warrior.
Oh, God. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail now. Thanks. We're a preservation group.
So what we're talking about is the padlocks that people have locked to bridges around Paris. Lisa was instrumental in getting these removed, and this is something that we're going to talk about in a little while.
Yeah, no, I'm really going to get hate mail. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It would be the first hate mail we've had on this show, so I doubt it. But we're going to talk about your book, and we're going to talk about the Lovelocks very shortly. But first, we're going to do something that we always do on this show, and that's talking about a French habit that I personally find a little bit unusual, and it's something that we've already done today, all three of us, and it's the la bise, kissing on the cheek. But specifically, I'm talking about kissing on the cheek between expats. So these are people who aren't French. Do they kiss on the cheek? James, perhaps you can explain what the French system is for the people at home that don't know. A half French man here.
You can't do it to your boss. You can't do it to your landlords. You do it with someone with who you're close, friends of friends, and your family, of course.
And so when this gets weird is when two expats, like Lisa and myself, when we meet, we don't know what to do. And we were both testing you today, Lisa, to see when you walked into the studio. And
no, we totally had that awkward moment. It was like, I did the handshake, but then I got the lean in. So I'm like, I will do the bees. But I find it's not just people you know well, like friends, like if you meet your friends, they will give you the bees. It's like as if because we have that mutual friend, suddenly that gives you the permission. But it is very weird. I have a lot of expat friends who automatically do the bees. But I think it's like you have to be in the habit or you...
So are you in the habit?
Clearly, because I was all about the bees, so...
I personally find, when I'm hanging out with, especially when I first moved to Paris, I found myself confused about what to do. If I met a French person, I would kiss them on the cheek twice. And then if there was a Swede or an Australian or an American, I'd shake their hand. And then it's almost like some weird dancing ritual.
I was told to offer the hand. This is what I was told by a French person. Oh, when in doubt, offer the hand.
Offer the hand, as in a handshake.
Yeah.
But not the man to a woman,
not like
though.
Take it. Right, I know, please, it's so confusing.
That's the other rule that goes through. A man must never give a handshake to a woman.
Oh, man.
Did you know that, Lisa?
No.
That's the first I heard of that one.
It's not a problem for me because I'm the woman in the situation, but why? Because you're supposed to...
I think it's just you're supposed to let the woman, if she wants to give you a handshake, she gives you a handshake.
Do you know, when I went to Lyon recently, and in Lyon they do two kisses as well, but they start on the right cheek.
That's the other thing. Where do you start?
Where do you start? But when I met I stayed in an Airbnb apartment, and when I met the hostess, the lady there, we both went to faire la bise, and I kissed her on the lips because we both...
That happened to me just before. My friend Fabien came by my house, and I started on the wrong side, so we did this whole like left, right, left, and finally we just ended up connecting in the lips. It was very awkward.
It is awkward, especially if you do it twice.
Yeah. Oh. And I think it's like in Nice, it was like 3 times. I was at the further south you go, the more kissing.
Yeah, the more kisses you get. And it goes up to 4 even in Toulouse, around there.
4 is the limit.
Yeah, 4
Seriously,
is the limit, yeah.
That's like takes all freaking day.
What happens if someone
it's a bit long. If you've got 5 people to say hi to.
Oh, that's so painful, especially in a party and everyone's salut, kiss, salut, kiss, and everyone gets up and then the next person comes to the party and you do it all over again. It's like, when can we start drinking?
What happens if someone from Toulouse and someone from Paris meet in Lyon? What do? I'm deadly serious. What do?
I think they probably come with their own habit.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that awkward ending where one of them just gets...
I think it'd be more awkward for the Parisian because the other person's going to keep coming in and the Parisian's going to look like the stingy one.
There's a website somewhere I think it's how many, they've done a map of the whole country, exactly how many kisses you should do. They've done a massive survey.
Is it really? Something like, oh my God, I love that.
That would help, I think, a lot of
I want to post that on my page.
Okay. And what's your page for the listeners that want to follow?
Well, my Facebook is Lisa Anselmo's My Part-Time Paris Life. And then, of course, my website is myparttimeparislife.com. And I have a series 2 on YouTube, but you can get at all of that. It's also called My Part-Time Paris Life. And I feature, this season is about Parisians who've taken the risk to follow their dream, and it paid off.
Which is kind of the opposite of what you've done. You're an American who took the risk to follow your dream in Paris.
Yeah, and next season we'll do expats. So, so sign up. But, and you can get at all of that through myparttimeparislife.com.
Great. Okay, there's the plug.
Thanks for the plug.
No problems at all. We'll do our own plugs shortly. But before I forget on the subject of kissing, James said something interesting to me just before that. He kisses his cousins all the time when he wakes up in the morning. Tell a bit. Is that
wait.
That's completely normal. Okay, I've got to say, in the morning, it's kind of asking for a lot. When you're at the breakfast table, it's not necessarily the first thing you want to do. But you can kiss your cousins. You kiss your boy cousins. You kiss them anywhere. It's not a problem, and it's actually. You'd often know that if you see two boys doing the biz, you'd probably guess that they're from the same family.
I love the doing the biz. Sounds like a Michael Jackson song or something.
And the hugging is not. They don't hug. Nobody hugs. It's like they get really uncomfortable when you go in for the hug.
I heard there's not even a word in French to hug.
Michaela, no?
Is it?
Yeah, cannot.
Okay, I must have been misinformed on that one.
Nobody wants to hug you.
What about kissing your friends? So man friends
in Paris, in France.
Yeah.
As a man, you have to earn the right. Because you can't just walk in and start kissing man friends as a man. Forget about it.
I have to say, this conversation is it's so being overthought that I'm really uncomfortable with the bees. I really didn't think about it. I just like bees my way through Paris.
That's the cue to change topics, I think. But have you noticed any other unusual Paris or French customs or traditions or habits that you've struggled with?
I don't know that I struggled, but the things that I noticed are everybody says hello, which is actually really sweet.
Tell me what you mean. You mean they say bonjour?
Bonjour. I live in a tiny street in the 11th, and strangers pass each other. We say good morning, good day. And when you go into a store, you immediately say bonjour. When you get into a taxi, you say bonjour, bonsoir. And if you don't do it, they really kind of go like in your face, like bonjour.
Yeah, bonjour. You get the aggressive bonjour
because they feel like well, you really didn't do the right thing. You're not being very polite. And the chit chat is interesting.
Yeah,
like you have to do a certain amount of friendly chit chat.
Small talk we're talking.
Yeah, like small talk. And, I live in a neighborhood where nobody speaks any English. And when I was first there, 4 years ago, it was a nightmare. Because they just like blurt at you and you're supposed to do this chit chat. I actually have a chapter just on the chapter's called, I'm sure if I could only understand you, I'd like you.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Lisa Anselmo, whose new book, My Part-Time Paris Life. What I like about the book is how buying an apartment was an impulsive buy. Some people buy, me the most daring impulse buy I've done is a magazine.
Right.
You were living, tell the story, you were living in America.
Well, so it makes me sound like I'm rolling in dough, and that's exactly not the case, which makes it a really disastrously impulsive purchase. But my mother passed away from breast cancer in 2011, and she was the center of my whole life. So I hadn't created a life without her in it. And I realized at the moment she died. And then I became completely plunged into depression. I had no sense of purpose. I didn't even know who I was or what was next. So I've been coming to Paris for many years. I have a lot of Parisian friends. And I got obsessed with the idea of a pied-à-terre.
Pied-à-terre, for those who don't know?
Well, foot on the ground, but like a small apartment somewhere that is like your other little home.
Pad.
Right.
The old Parisian pad.
Yeah.
So you had a similar dream to what many in the world probably do have, but you had this connection that you're already coming here.
Yeah, that's right. And Paris was like sort of my happy place. So I don't know. I think I call it the 3 Ds. It was like despair, depression, and desperation. That's my mindset at the time. But in the middle was this weird fearlessness. I did a lot of research in advance on the interwebs because that's how you're supposed to, like, that is so not the way to do it, but that's what I did. And then I came to Paris for one day. I flew in on a Saturday morning with St. Patrick's Apartments, made an offer on one of them, and that was it. And then I went home the next day. Like, crazy impulsive.
I've just spent 2 months trying to find a place to rent, and you found a place to buy within one day.
Well, I clearly, I made all the wrong choices. I picked the wrong neighborhood. I paid too much for the I did everything wrong.
There's nothing wrong with the 11th arrondissement of Paris.
No, no, don't get me wrong. I love the 11th, and I wanted to be near my friends, and that's where they all lived. But right where I am, it's this weird no man's land. I call it no man's land in the book because it's there's just, I don't know what it is. It's a wasteland of like, there's no boulangerie, there's no, it's just right where I am is this weird.
Without telling people at home exactly where you live, can you elaborate a little bit on where your apartment is in the 11th, this no man's land?
It's sort of in this, Alec Lebrano called it a drab corner of the 11th.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and he was kind of right. But I mean, I love it now, but it's between Nation and Voltaire.
Okay, but there's lots of bars in that kind
Yeah,
of
if
area.
I go 10 minutes north or 10 minutes south, I'm golden. But like right where I am, it's this weird. I think it's because it's a kosher district. It's also, it's every bit as halal as it is kosher. So there's a lot of men out, but there are very few women sometimes. But it's culturally, it's been a great experience, and it's changing, of course. I mean, Paris is just so gentrifying.
How have you noticed that Paris is changing?
Well, just the gentrification. Like on my strip of Boulevard Voltaire, there are 10 shops closed, like completely shut, and they've been pushed out probably by rents, like I said, rising rents. And who knows? And as they're turning over, they're opening up into like little bobo coffee houses, or where maybe it was like a nail shop or a shoe repair guy. Like my key guy is gone, my shoe repair guy's gone. It's like, what? Where do I go?
This is a topic that we've had with another guest on the show, talking about coffee shop and this rise of the coffee shops. Paris is definitely changing, and some people think it's exciting. Some people think the charm is disappearing. From
I totally
the city.
agree with the second people. Yeah,
That the charm is disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, well, everything is Brooklyn. You've seen it's like Brooklyn this and Brooklyn that. I literally walked past a place, I think it was on Charonne, and it was called like Le Brooklyn or something. I was like,
Isn't it just catching up with other cities around the world? Because Paris it's stayed a bit old for a while,
Yeah,
and now
maybe.
it's still keeping a bit of its touch. I mean, they're doing it the
Maybe.
French way.
You can
Yeah,
tell there's a Frenchman that asked that question.
No, look, I totally get it. I mean, it shouldn't be like, it shouldn't become like a Disney World version of itself. But, but really what I really find is causing it, it's that the local family business is being pushed out by high rents. And then, like a chain is moving in, or some like hipster place that's really not really a legitimate sole proprietor. That's the part that makes the charm go, because the family businesses are what make the neighborhood really feel like a village.
You're listening to Lisa and Selmo here on the Eiffel Tower on World Radio Paris. You like the name Eiffel Tower, don't you, Lisa?
It's very clever. It's very, very clever.
We'll take clever. And she's been talking about her new book. Part of the book is the challenges of living in Paris. And what we'd really like is if you could read a little section for the listeners to tell about these challenges.
Sure. So what we're talking about. So I had been coming here, like on vacations. I left my full-time job, my very fat, lovely, wonderful job, and decided to live the dream. Because the minute I arrived, there was a leak.
Okay.
From my neighbor's apartment, and it just kept leaking. So I'll read a little bit about that, because that is the stuff. So I send a message to a friend of mine, my property manager, and I tell her the story. And I said, "There's this leak, and nobody wants to fix it." And she says, "I hate to tell you this, but this is the worst possible scenario." Worst possible scenario? "Sorry," she said, "but you need to call a lawyer. It's the only way to prevent this from dragging on for years." For years? Fire had always been my biggest fear. Who'd have thought a flood would be the thing that would destroy my home? Sarah explained that the lawyer would arrange for the court expert to settle the dispute so the repairs could proceed. Without the courts intervening, no one would repair the leak, because as soon as they did repair it, they'd be tacitly admitting responsibility for the damage they'd done to my apartment, which was substantial, by the way, after I just renovated it. That's a little off the cuff. I'd say, why did I buy a property in Paris? I didn't speak the language. I couldn't even call my insurance company. These people were going to walk all over me. But initially, before I talked to my lawyer, I thought, these people have no idea who they're dealing with. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to write that email. Chop, chop, people. And as soon as I got the reply from the syndic, it was like, okay, yeah, no.
Then you discovered red French.
It was my first. I was literally my first day in Paris, living like a local, and I got a lifetime's worth of experience.
a full dosage.
Like the first lesson.
Oh.
So and of course, I go into it, but I'm not reading on because that probably wasn't the most exciting part of that.
No, that was good. That's a perfect example.
There's really many more
and I
wonderful
think it's
passages.
extremely brave of you to do something. It's very bold to go and buy an apartment in a country where, obviously, especially in Paris, where you need to be able to speak the language when things go wrong.
And totally, and I was clueless, and it would take me an hour to write an email that would normally take me 20 minutes because I would use like Google Translate, and then I tried to figure out if that's the way it would be said, and it was so many letters and it was just months and months, and we finally I call it the re-renovation because I renovated it, and then it was destroyed, and then I re-renovated it, and then of course as soon as I re-renovated it, new kitchen, new floor, new hallway, new bathroom, my toilet sprung a leak.
Oh dear, but there's something to be said. I mean, when you don't come here with this safety net of a French lover, like so many people do, you're really exposed. You have to learn French. You have to figure out how things work, and it means that you don't have this comfort. It means that you really get into the culture and everything so much quicker. I think
absolutely.
That's one upside to it, perhaps.
Yeah, I guess that's the upside. Yeah,
Doesn't mean it's easy, but
no one ever said it was easy.
No, but it's definitely an upside.
Yeah, that's the thing. You would ask me if there was one custom that is that's hard to get used to. People don't repair their leaks here. What is that about? Like, it's so and every time you tell a leak story, you get 5 others. It's like fish stories, like whose leak is
true.
bigger.
When you were saying the leak story, I was thinking of a friend that's going through a similar
everybody.
thing.
But nobody wants to repair. It's no big deal.
Now that I think about it, I had a leak from my shower to downstairs, and
it's still there.
I don't know. It's not my problem, really. But
see, you.
No, I'm just kidding. But the lady that every time I turn on the bath, the gardienne, the woman who looks after the apartment, she would run up 7 floors because we don't have an elevator, and she'd say, "Turn the shower off! What are you doing? Turn the shower off! They're complaining downstairs." And by then, I'd already had the shower. But it's
so don't you kind of want to fix it?
No, they did fix it, but it didn't. Apparently, they didn't fix it properly. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to the sequel. The leak returns.
The lequel.
The lequel. Oh, very good. Oh. So on the topic of your book, it's been doing well. It's been you said that it's flying off the shelves. Shakespeare and Company, it's gone. I
think there's like one signed copy left. I came here to sign copies and meet. I like to meet the booksellers. And,
I've got a question about that actually, because do you find it unusual to sign copies? Because often when you think signing copies, you think Michael Jordan or a sports star. And a lot of people that will be buying your book maybe aren't aware who you are. Is it like, for me, the idea of signing autographs, is that a weird concept to you?
It's weird, but I mean, people have been asking for my autograph since I was on House Hunters International. It's like so bizarre. And but the manager at Barnes and Noble Fifth Avenue said a signed book is a sold book.
Oh, really?
I guess people put a value on that.
And do you ever sneak into shops with a pen and just sign some copy?
Like somebody else's book?
No, I was thinking your book.
No, I literally go in and I say, "Hey, I'm the author," and they actually hand the books and say, "Will you sign them?" And then they put a sticker on it that says "signed copy," and they fly off the shelves. But Shakespeare and Company, come on, like to be on that shelf in that store for me.
Dream come true.
God, and W.H. Smith, I'm just like. So I go in and I'm all excited to meet and sign books, and they said, "Well, we only have one." I'm like, "You only bought one copy? Like, could you spare it?" But they said no, they had 10, and they sold them in record time. And not even signed.
Great.
So I'm really excited about that. And I had a huge turnout at an event I did 2 days ago, like record turnout. So I'm hoping that's a sign that this book will
do you think
well.
does this mean that people have an appetite for memoirs about France?
Oh my, come on! They just put Paris on it. It could be about something. It could be about Paris, Texas. People love Paris.
So this is the secret to writing a successful book: is have Paris in the headline.
Just figure out how to get Paris in the headline.
Any other tips? Surely the content's got something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, you mean for writing a successful book?
For writing a successful book.
I have no idea. When I'm on the New York Times bestseller list, I will let you know.
Okay.
Because I'm not quite there yet.
When you're on that list, we'll get you back in here to tell us the tips.
Yeah, the tips.
But the time's flying by. We want to talk. About the love locks as well, which is something that you've been extremely involved in. For those who have no idea what we're talking about, what are the love locks of Paris, and where are we at?
Well, it's actually a global phenomenon. So phenomenon, yeah.
Just mumble the last
one.
That's what
Phenomenon.
Exactly.
Now, so it's people put a padlock on a bridge and they lock their love with their lover or the moment, and then they throw the key in the river.
Lisa, that sounds romantic.
It actually, I thought it was adorable when I first heard about it.
So you write your name, to get this right, you write your name on the love lock, you pin it to the Pont des Arts.
Or whatever, some other historic fragile
a trolley,
bridge.
Anything, right? You throw the key lovingly.
lovingly into the Seine.
Into
Yes,
the Seine
yes.
River.
It's a beautiful moment.
You walk
It's
off
beautiful.
hand in hand and stay happily forever after.
Right, except after 4 years of this, because everyone thinks it's a tradition in Paris, but it's not. It's a new tourist fad. After 4 years, there were 45 tons of locks on the Pont des
45
Arts.
tons of love.
45 tons they took off in 2015, and 35 tons from the Pont de l'Archevêché, which is much smaller.
Okay.
They actually had to rebuild that bridge from the ground up. From
And
the weight.
but tell me, what do you have against this?
Well, that's the point. It's they tend to go to fragile historic landmarks, or this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Paris, and they're essentially endangering it because we're talking about millions of locks. There are 2 million quays in the Seine. That is just the pollution alone, and the city doesn't know what to do with it. I think people don't understand, one lock is a poem, but 45 tons is a conundrum, and it's a huge financial burden and a cultural burden on the city. And at the end of the day, the question is, what... You're going to someone else's city, and then you are, I hate to say it, but you're technically, by definition, vandalizing a heritage site of theirs.
But you're also
doing.
creating something by doing it. Would you say it's ugly when people actually put the locks up there? Because it does actually give something
when there
to
were
it.
like 100, it was adorable. But when there were, 45 tons, I don't know if you remember what it looked like, but the panels were falling off routinely, and so they just put plyboard.
Lisa, but you can't ban something that's ugly. I've got ugly brothers, and I'm not trying to get them banned from Paris.
Well, it's not the ugly part. I mean, that's not a good thing, but it's the fact that you're altering something that is historic. And it's like putting your initials on the Colosseum, or those clowns in Cremona who climbed up on top of that 300-year-old statue for a selfie and then destroyed it. It's all the same mentality, really. I think we're all about leaving our mark. But the truth is, when you travel, it's about what you take away. You let the city imprint itself on you. It's not, who cares about your stupid love? Really, that
They probably forget about. To be honest, James and I are both also against. We're just discussing.
No, totally. Look, I've done so many interviews with international press. They all take the same tack, and I agree. It's just that at some point we had to step in and say something has to be more important. One man's expression of love shouldn't come at the expense of somebody's heritage.
And the way that you were involved in it is you started a group called No
Love Locks.
And you.
A group. It was me and one other person, Lisa Taylor Hutt.
James and I call ourselves a group.
We're a group. It's just two women, and we just did something to do something because we didn't want to complain. But we had international press in 3 months. It was insane. And
the latest is that they've not just removed it, but they're going to be selling them off.
Right. They took off 65 tons between the two bridges, Pont des Arts and Pont de l'Archevêché, but they're auctioning just 10 of that. And
10 love locks?
10 tons. Okay. Sorry.
Who's going to buy 10 tons of love locks?
Well, they'll buy them a few at a time, I guess. I don't really get the whole.
I think they're going to melt. I think they're going to melt down what they don't sell.
That's right.
And the best bit of it all is they're giving the proceeds to refugee organizations in Paris.
That's right.
So really something quite good has come of all this.
Exactly. It's real. That to me, that's real love. Right, because putting your lock on someone else's bridge, that's really very egocentric. That's not really love.
But you know, I don't know whether. Sorry,
go ahead.
Because at one point they were saying that they were trying to get people to. They actually put signs up saying "Take a selfie" rather than putting a love lock on.
Yeah, that campaign was real. That lasted 5 seconds.
That's a silly campaign because people are taking selfies all over the entire city, aren't they?
And the signs, the stickers they put on the bridges were peeled up in like a day because the illegal lock vendors they want to keep selling.
So
locks.
do you see any alternatives to it, or should we just not do anything?
I just something that doesn't leave a mark, that doesn't threaten historic sites. I mean, anything that doesn't. I mean, if they want to build a special structure, I mean, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. It's really just about preserving the history and these fragile sites. And I mean, it's costing Parisians like hundreds of thousands of euros just to keep these things.
And they don't remember that they've left a lock. Let's be honest. These people who are putting a lock down, they don't know what they're doing.
No, well, a lot of people just because it's really just it's a mania. They just want to say they did it, and that's the part that makes it sort of sad.
I think it was in a famous movie. There was a scene where was it Sex and the City, perhaps, or something?
There's actually a scene on the Pont des Arts in the last episode of Sex and the City, but it was before the locks,
right.
And that was such a beautiful ethereal bridge, and it is again. And I think that's really. At the end of the day, your love has to be beyond yourself. Like the refugee, like giving the locks to fund the refugees. That's selfless
extremely
love.
Well said, Lisa.
Thank you.
I think we can wrap up this episode with that lovely thought. You've been listening to World Radio Paris. This is the Earful Tower. We're talking with Lisa Anselmo. If you haven't read a book, if you haven't bought it, go out and buy it right now. Listen a little bit about what it's like to buy an apartment in Paris. The book is called My Part-Time Paris Life. You can get it, by the sounds of it, anywhere.
Anywhere books are sold, an ebook, hardcover, and audiobook.
There you go. You've been listening to Oliver G with producer James Vazina. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, our new Facebook group. That's the Earful Tower on Facebook, one big word. And follow World Radio Paris on Facebook as well. Thanks so much for listening, and we're looking forward to talking to you next time with another guest and figuring out this magnificent country of France. Thank you.
Eiffel Tower with Oliver G.